What's up, everybody? Bryson Michael RC here, and today we're going to be doing my first impressions review. It's just a first impressions, I'm not diving deep in, and it's not like an end of the week review or a monthly review or something like that. It's just a first impressions, first couple days of having the Tronxy XY-2 Pro 3D printer. Just first thoughts right out of the box, building it, putting it together, and doing the very first couple prints. I did 2 benchies, and I did, well, not benches. I didn't do the little boat benchy. I did 2 benchmarks that it already came preloaded with. And then now I'm printing an actual mask and stuff on it that I've been printing with my other printers. Like I said, just first impressions of this. Now, this is, in case you want to know the volume size of this, and I'll put a little picture right up here. The bed size is 255 by 255 by 260, and it's got an auto leveling system. So those are its 2 main features on this 3D printer, and that's 2 main features along with the budget price that make this a better printer for budget beginner printers than the Creality Ender 3. Now, if this thing lasts, and I'm going to keep in touch with the person who actually owns it, who let me build it, put it together, and run it. They're getting the machine back, and I'm probably going to get my own eventually because I really like this machine. This is probably one of my favorite 3D printers. I've had a ball with it. It's an awesome 3D printer, and there's some extra features into it for upgrading that I would be very excited to own one of these because of the potential upgrades that you can actually do to this machine. If anybody out there is a beginner wanting to get into 3D printing, you're just starting, you don't want to mess with anything, let's just start from the very beginning, just putting this thing together. If some of you guys got on live and watched me put it together the other day, very simple to put together. All you got to do is take the interface off, unscrew it from the bottom, put it onto the side, and then put the 2 top parts on and put 4 screws in it, and then it's all put together. So it actually, this thing goes together a lot easier and a lot faster than the Creality Ender 3. So I bought the Anycubic i3 Mega because all you had to do is put 4 screws in it. Take the top, put it up, put the gantry on, and put 4 screws in, and that was it. And that's basically what this is. You just have to take the interface off the bottom and then screw it onto the outside with 2 screws. That's the only extra thing to it. So any beginner can put this thing together. It's a very compact machine, and you guys that see me unbox it and everything, comes with a ton of tools, comes with tools you aren't even going to use, a whole bunch of extra stuff. So let's just start from the beginning here. We put it together and got it all set up and got the benchmark started. I want to talk about, first of all, the touch screen on this machine. This touch screen is probably the best interface I've ever seen on a 3D printer. It's nice, it's bright, it's colorful, and it's very easy to follow along. There is no getting lost in this. And I went all the way through this whole interface, looking through everything that it has, all the features and stuff in it. I didn't get lost once and didn't have to look at the book once. It's super easy. And one of the coolest things is you can see right here in the video, when you're actually putting in the new print, it actually shows the print, the picture from the slicer of the print. You just push play, and it kind of just shows you at the side, and it has a ton of information on it. So one of my biggest gripes about the Creality Ender 3 was it was different from the Anycubic on the information that it shows while it's printing. You know, some of them just have percentage bars that goes across, some of them have the hours and stuff that go across, some of them have the title of it. Most of them have at least a percentage bar or the time or both, and then your hot end and bed. But this has a ton of information. It not only has that, but it also has, and this is also going to be one of my gripes, because as far as I've seen so far, the information isn't correct. So if they can fix this and it can be correct, then that would be a huge difference. But the fact that they put it all in here, that it's a possibility that you could have all this stuff and be correct, then that would be awesome. But the fact that it's not correct just kind of bums me out, because I put the benchy on, and you can see in the video that it says, so it shows your countdown, like how many hours it's been running, how many hours you have left for it to run, and then it has your percentages, and then it has your temperatures and all that other stuff on it. And then you have a little settings thing that you can go in and you can adjust the speed and all that all through it. But problem is, you can see on the temperatures that it's fluctuating the entire time. So your bed always goes within 5, a range of 5 up or down. It never stays. Like if the Creality Ender 3 and the Anycubic i3 Mega that I have printing right now, they get to 60 on the bed or 230 on the hot end, and they stay. They don't move up and down. In fact, when they move up and down, I know that something's wrong, and I know that something's happening. These fluctuate within 5 degrees up or down. The entire print. I don't know why it's doing that. There's a few reasons why it would be doing that on any of my other printers, but being that this is brand new, it didn't have any shorts or anything in it. I think it's just giving you a roundabout. I don't know what the deal is. And then I noticed that on the hours that it has left to print, and then the hours that it shows you printing, at first it starts with 0, that you haven't printed any, so it's at 0. And then it shows your countdown. And the first one that I put on there said 7 hours. Okay? It said 7 hours counting down, 0 counting up. And I walked back in there after a while, and I noticed that it was at 4 hours on... It had been going for 4 hours, and it still had 5 hours left. And so I don't know where that got mixed. And then at the end, it was 12 hours altogether to end up printing the whole thing. So that's a lot of space in between that's incorrect. A lot of data and information that in between that's completely incorrect. So like I'm saying, if all this information was correct and you can rely on it, that's amazing. And it's awesome that you can just walk by and see that. But it's just kind of depressing that I have not yet, after 2 benchmark prints and then the new print that I'm printing now, the information the temperatures are always fluctuating, and the information on the timer up or the timer down hasn't been correct. In fact, the only one that I've been able to look at and really just be like, watch it print, make sure that it's printing okay, and watch the percentage, because the percentage is correct. So kind of sucks. But the interface, the rest of it's awesome. You have everything in it. I'm not going to dive deep into it. You guys can look through it if you get one or something like that, or you can request. I can go through it and kind of show you different parts of it. The only problem with it is because of the LED screen, when I put my camera on it, it doesn't stay focused on it for long, so I can't get much good video of it. So I just took a little short video of it that you guys have been watching and just kind of had that as is. That'll do type of thing. So that's like my favorite part of it. It's a tiny little thin screen. I don't like the ribbon wiring that it's hooked into. I don't like it when places use ribbon, because it's so easily damaged. And I even talked about it in the build that I didn't know if I should put it over the top or over the bottom. I didn't know which one was going to be safer. And the owner, I just basically said, I'm just going to put it over the top. You can undo the screws and put it how you want it in the end. I'm not going to put any zip ties on it or anything like that. You can just do it how you want to do it. I would put some protective around it. Moving on, I really love the ribbon wires on the side, because the connector points are, like, the whole thing is just so easy to connect the pieces together. Even if you were to go inside and switch out any wires, the connectors pop off super easy. I mean, they're in there good, but if you want to go fix it, it's not like it's got loads and loads of silicone or hot glue keeping it in like all of my other printers do. This is, I opened up the inside, I looked at it, looked really good and clean and nice, and then whenever I pop the gantry wires in, you just clip these 2 wires down, pop it out, release those 2 clips, and it clips it on, and it's good. I mean, that is awesome. And the one thing I don't like about that is it's a whole bunch of wires bunched up in this one little ribbon thing. So if that one of the wires breaks on the inside, like, how do you get in and fix that? And sometimes that happens because the gantry's constantly going up and down, the wires constantly bending back and forth. That's a problem with 3D printers a lot, is the wires in the gantry break or the wires in the bed break. And when you have a ribbon like that, it sucks to fix them. So without doing any research, if this piece is available where you can get this piece separately and buy it separately, I would get a backup. And then that's not a problem. Let's see. Let's move on. The bed. I don't like the bed. The bed is a basic Creality Ender 3 style bed. You need tempered glass. Tempered glass. Don't go with anything less than tempered glass. Just, I would suggest to her when she gets her 3D printer back, just toss that out and get a tempered glass in that size. You can find them on Amazon. They're super easy. They're not expensive. Just get it. When it heats up, it sticks. When it cools down, it pops off. So much better. These little bend ones and stuff, problem with it, you get too close to the bed, and with an auto leveler you can still get too close to the bed. Plastic into the bed, that stuff gets buried in there, and it's so hard to get off, and you have to scrape it off and bend it like crazy. And then if you have a messed up print that's only gone like 2 layers, it's really tough to get that off. I mean, it sucks. God, I hate those beds so much. And then if you do have to hand level something, you can always burn it with the hot end. I hate those beds. Just toss it. So, but it's cheap. I mean, it's a really cheap printer. Did you expect to have a tempered glass bed on this thing? No. And that's super cheap. Nice little upgrade that you can add to it. So when you look at it like the Creality Ender 3 and look at the price of it, the budgetness of it, you can forgive some of these dislikes that I have for it. Next thing we're going to move on to is the gantry, and I've got a nice little shot of this gantry here. And if you noticed, and I'll show a shot back to it again, on the interface you can see that they have a spot for a dual extrusion. And in fact, when you download the slicer itself for this model, for this Tronxy, it actually gives you the option for a dual extrusion or for a dual hot end. So look at this gantry. Look inside, and you can see that right at that half mark and over, you can see the one hot end. And it looks like it has a whole other area that you can fit another hot end in. So I haven't really done too much looking at the top, but you could put a dual extrusion system in just about anything. But it has a spot in the actual gantry itself that you can put an extra hot in it. So that's awesome. I mean, it's set up for you to actually upgrade this to dual extrusion, dual colors and stuff. So if that's something that you wanted to try, I don't have any interest in it because, you know, I build these 3D helmets and stuff, and I do all the post-production and all that to it. So I have no reasons to use multiple colors, but if you wanted to, this is something that gives you that option. The problem with using multiple colors is you have to wait for it to you know, let all that other color out, and they usually make those color blocks or whatever, and it takes like double the time. I don't like it, but it's awesome that it gives that gantry is big enough that it gives you that option to put 2 of them in there. I'm pretty sure it's big enough to put 2 of them in there. Now you see the one hot end, and then you see the wires sticking out into the other side, but you can always pull those wires up and move both of the. I think you could do it. I think it's big enough. You can see this is really sturdy. In fact, when it comes to the Ender 3, that's the cheaper Ender 3, not the Ender 3 Pro, but the cheaper Ender 3, it has a really, really thin. I think that's the brace, the brace for the bed, the X brace or something like that. It's got a really thin one. This one is stout. I mean, this whole thing is built sturdy. It's heavy duty. The legs on it, the little legs are fairly tall, so it picks this up off the ground, allowing enough air to move into that so that fan can cool it off underneath, which is awesome. That's a very, very smart design. I think bigger feet on it, it's just going to make it better. One of the big things that I really liked about this too is it only has the one Z motor, but see, you get a better print with dual Z motors. And mostly because a lot of times when a machine has one Z motor, what happens is they put the motor and then the Z screw goes up to nothing. And so as the gantry goes up, the Z motor bends outwards, and that's one of the big problems with the Creality Ender 3. This actually has a brace on the top of it that the screw goes up into, so that doesn't flex at all. So it stays straight and sturdy the entire time. And because of the structure of it, because of how it's designed and how it's designed, almost a direct copy of the Creality Ender 3, it cuts that entire thing out, and it's going to print. You get the settings perfect on this, and it's going to print some pretty precise prints. So it's got really good motors on it, better motors than the Creality Ender 3. I'm comparing this to the Creality Ender 3 more than anything because that's the one that it's more comparable to. It looks like it's a copy of it. They just took the Creality Ender 3 idea and said, let's make it better and cheaper. Basically, better and cheaper. And let you do far more upgrades on it because we know you hobbyists and you makers out there, and you guys want to lowrider the crap out of this, right? So it does have a sensor for your filament, so your filament goes in. If your filament breaks or ends, it'll automatically pause it. I don't like those. I took it off of my Anycubic i3 Mega because if you're not paying attention to your plastic, then you're not paying attention to your printer. You don't really need it. And a lot of times those sensors will go out and your printer will just will just randomly start stopping throughout your print. You won't know what's going on and stuff. And instead of just dealing with any of that, I just turned mine off. But the good thing about the Anycubic i3 Mega is that your sensor's on the side on a wire, and you can kind of just take it off and set it aside and just run it. This one, it's actually screwed into the top directly in front of the extruder, which sucks. So you're going to have to take it off and everything. You can't just kind of move it aside and use it when you want to use it. Say you're going to go to bed and you just don't know, you just want to use the rest of your plastic or something, so you might want to use it. It's directly in front, so you can't really just bypass it. You got to go through it. And another thing too is I like to do that thing where if I am running out of plastic in one color and I don't want to push pause because I don't want to make a weak section in the print, I just follow it through with the next color of plastic. When you have a sensor like this, what I did with my Anycubic is I would cut it off at the bottom of the sensor and kind of hold it, and then kind of, since you were able to hold the sensor in one hand and the plastic in the other, you can kind of just scoot it through extremely quick and it would bypass the sensor. I don't know how sensitive this sensor is. I haven't tried it yet. This is just a first impressions review, so I'm not going to try it, but that's something that I really like to do, and I do it a lot. All of my multiple colored prints, that's how I've done it. Anytime that I'm running out, I try to use every ounce of plastic that I can, not leaving any in the Bowden extruder to have to take out before I switch or anything. I'm hoping it's not that sensitive and you can just follow it through. I'm hoping it doesn't see that cut and pause it or something like that. Lori, give it a shot and let me know how it turns out. Just try to cut it off and follow it. And one of the things about following the plastic through is you really have to watch the extruder, because on the other side where the Bowden enters in, on the inside of it there's a lip, and so you have to kind of bend your plastic to where it misses that lip. And so I like to watch the extruder, and if it kind of jams for a second, you can back it back out and kind of put it back through the right way. But if that sensor's here and your extruder's here, then you're all the way back here with the plastic trying to guide this in. I think it would just be a mess. It would be a hassle. So that's one thing that I don't like. I would take that out immediately if it was mine. Just take it off, throw it out. Back into the Gantry, it has the auto leveler. Let me tell you about this auto leveler. It is fantastic. When you've been leveling your beds, especially you Anycubic i3 Mega owners out there know this for a fact. That thing is stupid to level. That thing sucks so bad to level. If you're off by just a little bit, it throws off the entire thing, and it takes forever to get that thing perfect because it's got the tiny little knobs and it only adjusts by tiny little measures. The Creality Ender 3 has the bigger knobs, so it adjusts in bigger swipes. It's a lot easier to get there. But this, it doesn't have a Z sensor like all the other 3D printers because it has the auto sensor. Now what happens is that it goes down, it goes to 16 points in the bed, and then if anything's greater than 0.8, then you have to hand adjust the knobs in the bottom. I haven't had to do that, so everything's been under 0.08, and what happens is the very first layer, you can see the light comes on. As it's auto leveling, the light on the auto leveler comes on, and it goes to each one of its points, and then when you actually start printing, the auto leveler stays on, the red light stays on, and it levels the entire time that it's printing the first 2 layers. So I think that's awesome. So I haven't had any problems with it at all. Nothing. And that bed is way unlevel. So, but the auto leveler's done a fantastic job. Problem with it, and let me tell you, this is the one thing that I don't like about it, is, and I'm going to try to, well, you guys can see the video that's going to the side, but I'm going to kind of crudely show you. So say that this is your hot in here, you can see the distance in the video. You can see the distance in the video over here. Like your hot end's here and your auto leveler is all the way over here, and you have enough room for an entirely other hot in between, right? So what happens is it starts going, say this is the bed, it starts going this direction. So it should go this direction. So it auto levels first, and then the extruder follows the auto leveling, but it doesn't. Everything that I've watched, it goes this way. So it's auto leveling the spot behind it. So if the bed were like this, then your auto leveling would be leveling the back. See how far of a distance that goes from the auto leveler? Say this black part is the auto leveler, and it was tilted like this. Then this would be grinding into your hot end would be grinding into the bed, and it would be leveling the back. So it's not precise. So what they need to do is since it's traveling this way, they need to switch the auto leveler to the other side. That way the auto leveler goes across first. I don't get it. I don't get why it's designed like that to where the auto leveler follows the hot end, but that's just how it is. And I have had some prints. In fact, the first benchmark that I printed, you can clearly see, and you can see in the video here, that you can clearly see that the plastic is a little lighter like on this side, but it's thicker on this side. And that's because the bed was uneven and it was following. And you know, after it kind of went around a couple times, it got an idea of how level it was, and it actually did a fantastic job. But it's just what happens when, you know, a little kid or somebody comes in there and messes with it or something like that. So your nephew's in your house and he just twists it, or you don't see it, or something like that. Or, you know, something happens. Maybe the spring gets old and kind of releases a little bit, and your bed gets wonky. You know, as it's going back and forth, you got to imagine this. As your bed's going back and forth, it's got jerk in it, and that stuff's coming unscrewed, or it's screwing tighter, just depending on the jerk, because those aren't on tight anyways. You know, so you've got weight, you've got gravity, all that different stuff. So beds that are hand leveled don't last forever. And that's because they're constantly in motion and moving. When it's constantly in motion and moving and vibrating, then those are going to loosen up or tighten up, whichever direction, and your bed's going to get uneven at certain points. It just depends on how far uneven it gets. So that's something to think about. It's awesome that it has an auto leveler. It makes a huge difference. It was so much quicker to print that first print than to have to go in there and level the whole thing with a sheet of paper or something. But I mean, as a budget first-time printer, if you're a first-time printer, this is the perfect machine for you to auto level and not have to mess with any of that stuff. Just get you a tempered glass on it. Bam, you're good. You are good. And that's another thing about these beds too. And the bad thing about these beds is you bend them to pop the print off. And after a while, that bed does get bent up. You may not really see it to the naked eye, but it does start getting bent up and bent up. My Creality one got really bent up. Tempered glass doesn't. It stays perfectly level the entire time. So you want tempered glass. You have to get tempered glass for it. The last thing that I'm going to say about this that I really don't like is it will start printing before it's preheated. The way that you go in and preheat this thing, it's really easy to get to. It kind of jumps around. You have to push this little triangle button, and it jumps from like it'll go from 230 to 234 to, you know, and it kind of jumps around. So it's hard to get on a precise degrees that you want it to be, an exact number, but you can start the preheat. And any of my other machines, you go in there, and in fact I could just go in, I can just turn the machine on, go in and select the file, the G-code that I want it to print, and then hit select and walk away, and it'll preheat for me and do everything that it needs to do, and then it won't start until it's preheated and until it's ready to go. Both of mine do that. Both of mine. You can just go ahead and hit the G-code you want and leave, and it will preheat itself and do all that stuff and won't start until it reaches those temperatures. This, as soon as you hit play, you have to preheat it and you have to watch it. And so you go into the preheat and then set it on the preheat, then you have to back out, and then there's an information spot that you hit the information, and you can see all the information that's going on with the printer. And then you have to wait until it gets to the temperature and then push play on your G-code, because and I did this, if it's not preheated to the temperature that it needs to be, it will start as soon as you hit play, and that's what it did with me. As soon as I hit play, it started, and then you could just hear the plastic going dunk, 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 dunk. And when it started, I was like, holy cow, is it already heated up already? Like, I just started preheating this thing. Is it heated up already? No, it wasn't. It wasn't even close. So it will start on you. One more thing before we get off of here. That was the last thing that I want to show you with the videos and stuff like that. So I'm just going to show you guys a still picture. This does have its own slicer. That's one of my main gripes about this thing is Cura does not have a preset for the Tronxy. It doesn't. And that sucks because I would love to have all my printers on one slicer. And the cool thing about Cura is you can just switch back and forth from printer to printer. It's an amazing thing. And it's so much easier. But it doesn't have a preset for it. And the fact that it has there's like an offset Z or something on it. Like I said, I haven't done too much research on this, but I have read as I was, because I tried Cura. I went ahead and set it up as its own. You know, you can set up a random one, so you can set the bed parameters and all that different stuff, how the actual thing is set up, and you can just go ahead and put your own settings in and then try to get it to go. And I tried a couple of those and they failed immediately. And so I went in and tried to go through Google and see if anybody has ever used Cura for the Tronxy machine. And everybody on there said something about an offset Z, that Cura doesn't have it, but you can put it in there if you want to. There's a way to do it. But I just thought, you know what? I'm not going to read too much into this because I'm not keeping it. So I'm not going to set up a profile for it and stuff like that. I went ahead and I downloaded the Tronxy slicer, which is actually exactly like Cura. I mean, exactly like it. So it looks a little different, but believe you me, everything that's in here is in Cura. You can do everything in Cura that you can do in this. And so it's not too far off. It's not hard to learn. You just go right in here and it does the exact same stuff. It's actually really cool. I actually really like it. I'm kind of an old school guy. Every time that Cura updates, I hate it. It's super easy. So I went in there. I just put the masks. You guys can see the picture of the mask there. I just went in, put the masks in, sliced it, put it in, and it printed perfectly. So you kind of have to use the Tronxy slicer. Not a big deal. If you've only got the Tronxy, use the Tronxy slicer. If this is the only one you've got, if that's the only machine you have, use it. Use the Tronxy slicer because it's perfect for it. Why go through all that extra mess? So I don't know. I'll do a little bit more research, and if I get a chance to do a more in-depth review of this, I think I'm going to get me my own. So if I do get my own, then I am going to do a more in-depth review of this. Let's just say I really like this machine, and I will say that I believe that this machine right here is the best beginner budget printer on the market. No joke. If you're wanting to get into 3D printing, and you don't want to spend a ton on a 3D printer because you don't know if you're going to like it or you're going to have the money for it, and you want something that's upgradable, that it seems, without research, mind you, it seems like it would be easy to fix as long as these pieces exist, like that big ribbon thing. As long as that exists, that would be so easy to replace. The upgrades of it on it seem really fun, and if you want to really get more into your 3D printer and stuff, you could put these upgrades on it and stuff. The technology in it, it just seems like the perfect. It looks like they took a Creality Ender 3 and they said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to upgrade this like crazy, and we're going to make it cheaper. It's not the greatest printer. It's not going to be the fastest printer. In fact, this mask right here takes 7 hours and 33 minutes to print on this printer, but on my Creality Ender 3, it only takes 6 hours to print. So that's an hour and 30 minutes extra to print on this than it does on my Creality Ender 3, and those are default settings on both. I'm confident that with about a month, with this machine for about a month, I could figure out all the settings and I could have this printing like a $300-400 printer. No joke. I mean, I think it's that good. So, but we'll never know. We'll never know. This is just my first reaction, my first thoughts, and I'm super tired. I've been up since super early this morning. You guys can probably see it in my eyes. Tomorrow we have the drawing. April the 11th. We have the drawing, the 2,500 giveaway. That's going to be going on at 6 p.m. Central Time, so make sure that you're there. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you get notified when I put out new videos, and hit that thumbs up so my videos are suggested in other people's videos. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys stopping by and watching this video. We'll see you guys later. Y'all have a good one. Bye.